We can talk about what might happen all we wish. But game number 1 is here in the Theater of Dreams. It is Clem versus Byun. And in the bottom left, folks, in the red for Team Liquid. Or for Shopify Rebellion, excuse me, it's Byun.
And spawning here at the top right, we got the man, the Frenchman from Team Liquid. It is Clem.
Clem. That makes me so happy. You know, Clem.
Oh, man.
So, what do you think here, Snoopy? Game number 1, it's going to be a double hit where it's going to be Barracks Double Gas Factory opening coming out from really both players, as this is just to find the meta. It keeps you safe, gives you a little bit of aggressive options. Yeah, you know the drill. So, in this game number 1, where do these players go? Is it aggression? I mean, Inside and Out does allow for that. Do you just try to play defensively because you assume your opponent's going to be aggressive? Where do we go here?
You know, with these two particular players, I feel like, you know, both of them are generally aggressive players. And when that happens, when you have two, you know, more offensive type of players, really anything can happen. Sometimes it really comes down to just micro, because both of them are just like attacking one another or harassing one another. You could have some situation where there's like 3 different attacks going on and harassment going on. So, you know, it's going to be really interesting to see, you know, how these players utilize their micro abilities and what kind of build they're going to be opening. I would imagine it's going to be a 1-1-1, right?
I mean, that's just generally how it goes. There's always the world where this is a double starport open or something like that. But yeah, you open Barracks Double Gas Factory, you get your natural kind of set up. Sometimes one player or the other decides to tango with their Reapers. And actually, there we go, with the Reaper leading the charge, or the SCV leading the charge here. Clem is going to try to make something happen, but realistically, all that's going to happen, both SCVs will go down. But actually, we got to point out, Byun gets damage on Clem's Reaper with his own SCV. So now Byun holds the high ground. They traded out 1 for 1, and the natural going down here on the low ground. Byun delays it for a little bit of efficiency, but it also means that his command center is about 50% behind.
Yeah, that's that'll be just a tad behind. Not the biggest deal, but still, you want to be ahead. And looks like we do have our first starport being thrown down by Clem. And it just seems like Clem is just a bit quicker with everything. CC and then, you know, the starport. And I guess the only advantage is that Byun is a little bit faster on the worker as he's oh, now Clem just caught up.
Yeah, Byun sacrificed a little bit of his tech and a little bit of his economy to make sure he had hell, you know. That was the big deal. He built that one. He was building that out of the factory because he wasn't sure whether Clem was going to commit. He had some sort of harder commitment. He didn't have a good scout on the map. So he said, you know what, I got to make sure that I have a Hellion, and actually 2 Hellions, and make sure I stay totally safe. And this does allow Clem to get just the smallest bits ahead in the macro, but probably not going to be the end of the world. And of course, Byun, because he didn't spend that gas on the Widowmine, well, he's going to have a Raven on the way as well. Well, ooh. Sorry, not a Raven, a Banshee.
Oh.
Game 1. There's a little bit of a wrinkle in the plans.
Yeah, you think he's going to get Cloak or just going to go for one Banshee?
And with the preponderance of Ravens, I really do not see Cloak being all that effective 99 times out of 100 here in this matchup. So I doubt it. You'd rather conserve the gas for other things, such as siege tanks and maybe your own Raven, or own several Ravens after that. But I'm really curious to see how much damage these Banshees are going to get done. Of course, in TVT, your basic unit, the Marine, does a little bit of anti-air, but Banshees do tend to outrun that and outfight that. But then you get the Cyclone pretty commonly defensively as well, and Cyclones really do shut this down. It turns most Banshee trips into a one-way scenario. So again, I'm very curious to see how much damage Byun is going to get done, whether he's even going to move in with the Banshee to start things off. Often we'll see Terran players, if they do go for something like this, they send the Banshee out, and then they wait for their opponent to move out. And that's when they look to strike. And actually, hey, you know what? If you're a Byun fan, I mean, maybe you're not happy with this is the scary army, but at the very least, Byun has damage potential on the other side. As the army of Byun's going to find this, could lock on, trading 1 for 1 KDA charge. No, Clem will find that. But here comes the Banshee into the natural, and there's not a lot of defense because Clem is on the map.
Yeah, looks like he's trying to retreat, but in the meantime, there'll be some pot shots being dealt out by this Banshee. Let's see how many workers he can get. He got 3 so far. Can he get a 4th?
Ooh, missed target there. Yeah, we noticed that actually the repair from Clem is really good because if you look at this, it's almost exactly 2 shots to kill with a Banshee. So if you're able to get a decent repair off between that makes it 3 shots, and suddenly it gets a little awkward. We saw Byun try to optimize the damage to try to make sure he got whatever SCV was not being repaired, but no, Clem was on top of things. So at the end of the day, 4 SCVs go down for a Banshee. Really not the end of the world for Clem. It really just equalizes the worker count, and Clem's 3rd base, right? It's an orbital already. It's done. But we got to talk about something here. This is going to be mech, Snoopy, from Clem.
Oh, wow. Well, the thing about mech is you're not going to have too much on the ground quite yet, but looks like the out of position army of Clem finally going to come back. I would have actually expected to see more damage considering how out of position Clem was, but all in all, just 3 workers going down. So I think he got a little bit lucky there. Could have gotten much worse.
He did have to spend Raven energy, but you talk about him being out of position. There was a tank on the high ground. That really is not the end of the world. That being said, for the most part, this army that Byun sent across the map, most of it was units that you don't care about anymore. It's Reapers and Hellions. The big deal, or the one exception to that rule, of course, is the Cyclone, as Byun is now set up around this 3rd base. But there are 2 tanks here. This bust coming in from Clem right now is scary indeed. And yes, there is 1 tank behind. 1 tank does unsiege, but Byun will be forced to give this position up. That being said, the anti-air from Clem heavily bruised, and a lot of it has gone down. So the 3rd base, yeah, it's under threat. It's just going to be forced to reposition. No big deal. An auto turret harass coming in from Byun on the other side. I'm actually not going to... Oh, there we go. That's the auto turret we're looking for, but it's going to try to snipe down a tank, which will not go down, I don't think. Yeah, with the repair. Should be fine. And the Vikings knocking down the last of these Ravens. So, but that being said, 10 workers have died. This is now starting to be the damage that Byun is looking for, Snoopy.
Yeah, definitely. The only concern is that, Byun did lose those 2 Ravens, which could be pretty significant when that big attack and collision comes. A nice little Widow Mine shot there.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're looking for. You just put a random Widow Mine on the map, you say, I'm going to find some damage. Now there's a 3rd Raven on the field. We didn't have that one for the first push. But realistically, now this is just a position that Clem is holding. He's not really denying... Okay, these SCVs need to stop long distance mining. You're kind of minimizing the damage you just got, especially considering he's taking the 3rd base on the other side. So with this position, I'm saying, it's really just a position that Clem is holding. It doesn't really matter all that much. Well, it does, because the SCVs died, but of course, Byun on the other side of the map, he's got some damage of his own. 12, 13 SCVs have died. We're starting to see really what is Clem's inexperience in this style, but even still, the Ravens, they're going to drop auto turrets on top of everything. Vikings cannot shoot them down in time, and these tanks, they're going to fall down, yes, at the cost of 3 Ravens. But now Clem moves forward. He got so much damage there, but Byun still does own the skies. Tank on the high ground, really the only defensive unit that exists on this side of the map, really. So Byun stims in even more. Another tank is not going to go down. Good repair. 20 workers have died. And Byun, if he's able to stabilize, he should be fine. And realistically, Snoopy, that's one of the benefits of playing Bio. You have relentless production.
Yeah, you can, replenish and replace those lost units much quicker compared to the mech army. And looks like Clem gonna try to establish this 3rd base. However, it looks like Byun looking to go for a drop himself. And look at the right side. There's actually not a lot here to detect it. All the Vikings on top of the tanks instead of on the right side. And there we go. Gonna go slipped on through.
In fairness to this drop, it is Marauder heavy, so not nearly as much threat on Vikings, for example, but Byun's going to stem in, and he's, more importantly than getting SCVs, which again, Marauders, they don't do the best at, Tech Labs are under threat. Tech is under threat. Tanks are under threat as they look to siege up, but Byun, of course, has lost every medevac out of this drop, but he's got a bit of a push coming in through the middle of the map. Feels like a bit of a miss rally there. Byun, kind of sloppy this game, to be totally honest, but the Viking harass is going to find even more. And this is just a game where it doesn't really matter what happens to the armies, really, unless it is catastrophic. Because Clem has lost 20 more SCVs. He's lost, what is it, about 55 SCVs over the course of this game. And if Byun takes a moment to sit back and relax, he will be able to build up an army that can probably fight. But even for right now, I think we're going to see him just stim on top of the tank. There we go, Marauders. They don't die too quickly to the even the sieged up tanks, even with that bonus damage to armor. But gas is being denied. Tanks are getting knocked down. Life is not happy for the young Frenchman. Not really at all.
Yeah, he's still got some Marauders here to left to clean up, and you know, he finally got his tech lab back and up and running. But there was a couple of moments there, a period of time where he wasn't able to make those mech armies as his factories had to remake that add-on. And now Byun, he's gonna start moving forward at the front side. And to be honest, I feel like he can even drop into the backside still, as there's still no detection onto the right side, the dead airspace.
It's a bit ballsy for Byun to move in right now, and there we go. Yeah, like you said, three medevacs full units are going to find their way into the main base once again. Byun, despite the damage he has done, right? He's up 12 workers right now. He's killed 55 SCVs. We're not really seeing him snowball ahead in terms of total supply, or in terms of army supply. Not yet, because he's trading out so heavily here, but the Marauders onto the high ground. A couple more tanks will go down, make it 3, and I think that's going to be the grand totality of things. Medevacs will continue to fall, but if you're Byun, you're more than happy to take these trades. Again, you're knocking down tanks, you're knocking down production, killing 13 more SCVs, because why the hell not? Clem is just not being allowed to stabilize. I do like the tanks on the high ground, though. It's a lot harder for Byun to really punish, but he's just still going to find more. Another tank dies. Clem a little bit too ballsy with things. Tanks from the low ground here, and Byun says, okay, well, thank you. I'll take those 15 workers dying as well. And now that Snoopy, we ask ourselves the question I've been asking myself for a while. What the hell can Clem do right now?
Well, he's still got a decent amount of tanks. He's got 6 tanks to the 1 of Byun. He's still got the air superiority. So maybe if he can just stabilize, maybe he can do a push across the map and try to get into a great position and try to do some economic damage. But I don't know, man. Byun, he's still streaming red units across the map, and I'm loving Byun's position right now.
There's no stabilization here. He just lost his 3rd base. Snoopy, I admire the optimism here, but this army that Clem has is the only army he ever will have. And even as he tries to have that, I mean, he's just got in the middle of the map. There we go. Byun looking dominant from pole to pole, north to south, east to west. He takes game number 1, folks. So certainly Clem, he's going to be a little bit more aggressive in his scouting than he was in game number 1. We already seen SCV onto the other side of the map, or not. I looked at the gas barracks. I said, yeah, SCV timing, we're fine. But no, this can be a second barracks on the map. So the proxy afar, as you do, of course, have that barracks home. Snoopy, here's my question though: is this going to be that Marauder idea that we sometimes see, where you proxy concussive shell Marauders pretty close to your opponent's base, and then you build Marines at home? Is this going to be for double Reaper pressure? Where exactly does this go?
You know what? That's a good question. I mean, I feel like it could be either one, but seeing that Clem is opening up with a Reaper, I think he might just go for a double Reaper kind of a build here. But I do love the idea, the option that he could have gone for, the Marauder Rush, because sometimes, the Terrans, when they don't scout, they kind of get caught off guard, and then it kind of goes downhill as it snowballs. But being that this is more further away, I think it makes sense that it's Reaper instead of Marauders.
Yeah, the rush distance might be just a little bit too long to rally Marines from your main base, but this will certainly be 2 Reapers versus 1 on a map that Clem does have the, I'm not going to say the micro advantage, they're still both playing on ping, but it's going to be better for him at the very least, central versus west. But Byun, of course, his factory will not be delayed. Often when we see proxy Reapers, the goal in part is to delay the factory. So this means Byun will be able to get a Hellion out on the map. This is not going to be quite as effective, but certainly the natural is just going to get canceled here. But Byun's going to get first shot on the Reaper, so one of them will just go down, trading 1 for 1, but it's going to be 2 for 1, but no, okay. Byun does not want to engage into the mutually assisted death right there. So 1 Reaper remains for either side, but of course the big deal, Clem is making them 2 at a time. Of course, Snoopy, there's a Hellion out, and that really does invalidate a lot of this.
Yeah, I mean, once that Hellion is out, that first Hellion, it really helps the Terran player to kind of hold this push. And it's like we got ourselves a little bit of a micro war. And Byun does, I feel like, comes out on top, as he does, of course, have the high ground and also the better defender's advantage.
And we all know how powerful the high ground is. But Clem continuing to pump out Reaper after Reaper after Reaper, still making them 2 at a time, adding in Hellions as well. And that was a bit scary there for Byun. He was not really ready. You saw him kind of take the first volley or 2 on the Hellions, but now we once again have Clem diving in, but he's not even going to delay the Command Center here, at least not yet. So Command Center should complete Hellions, playing away on the edge of things. And of course, it is still hard for Byun to engage right now with the addition of the Hellion. It looks like he will get the Command Center at the end of the day, briefly. But there we go. It is ready as well. And Byun, we do probably want to see him starting to move into maybe a Cyclone, something like that, something that adds that additional beef, really, to the army. So there we go. Cyclone is going down, looking to ensure damage. And the damage actually getting done by the Reapers and the Hellions here. It should not be enough, but it will force Byun. It will force him to cancel the orbital. I thought he was going to be able to get the orbital and escape, and so did he. But it got too damn low, and he said, "I don't want this. I don't want this to burn. Then I'm in trouble. Then getting my STVs on the low ground is hard." So, chalk up a victory for Clem there.
Yeah, I think Clem, feeling good about that. Forcing the cancel on the orbital. But Byun, I would say he just got a little bit too happy after that first initial hold. He kind of teched up a little bit quick, wasn't continuously making those Hellions. So he didn't actually have a lot of units on the ground to defend that. He wasn't expecting Clem to continue pumping out units, and I think it caught him a little bit off guard. Not the end of the world. He just had to delay the orbital a bit. We'll go ahead and reestablish that, but he does have the quicker tech here, as that Raven will or that tech lab the Banshee is going to be going across the map, and looks like Clem should have the ability to defend that as the Cyclone's popping out. So don't expect this Banshee to get too much done, but as I say that, actually Cyclone might just be a little bit late.
Yeah, of course, not a lot of anti-air here for Clem at this point. You talk about the Cyclone being late, not a lot of Marines either, so 3 workers will go down, or 2 workers will go down. But on the other side, some of the Reapers, some of the Hellions, they show up, they get a little bit of damage done as well. And this Banshee, not long for this world anymore, not with a lock-on. So I like the idea from Byun, but he only gets two SCVs in a game where Clem, despite his natural being significantly later, it won't really end up mattering all that much, because Byun was forced to stay on the high ground. He's not been building SCVs continuously. And now Clem, behind this, does seem to be going into a bit of a mech idea once again. Take a look at that 4th gas. Oh, I'm sorry. No, he's on 2 barracks. What am I saying? But the 3rd base also done here for Clem. Orbital on the way. Clem, really, the world is his oyster at this point.
Yeah, really. I mean, he's got his third CC up. Can pretty much start mining from that. He's ahead by 10 workers. Yeah, I think his initial pressure just really caught Byun off guard, and now he's going to be in a very good, nice setup to potentially pick up this win here. But of course, Byun, Byun, whenever he's down, he doesn't cave. Instead, it seems like he just go into Super Saiyan mode and gets even better. So we'll see how he bounces back.
Well, the random 2 Reapers, at this point of the game, of course, they're really not all that useful. So getting a couple SCVs, and really more importantly, getting the scout saying, okay, I see 2 barracks. I see that there's a tech lab researching. This is going to be bio this game. You're not doing something weird here, Clem. You're not going for mech. Well, that is going to be nice indeed. And more importantly, in the age-old game of push me, pull you, because the Reapers go in the main base, now Clem, he moves back to the front, which really opens up the attack pattern here for this double drop. 2 tanks, 8 Marines. Of course, stem is not yet done for Byun. He has to get some damage. I mean, he is indelibly far behind here, but certainly he's denying mining the main base for a little bit. This Raven moving forward, but the Vikings here cause a bit of consternation there, so we're going to have to see him do something. Auto turrets, they get dropped, but the Raven is now dead. 5 SCVs have fallen. This is going to be a break here from Clem once again. And Byun needed more than 5 SCVs. Yes, denying mining is fantastic, and he's only down 7 workers instead of, well, whatever it was, 10, 12? But the 1-1 is just about done from Clem. All right, the tech of Clem is so far in advance of what Byun has that Byun is going to struggle to take a fight really for the entirety of this game. There are going to be some slim timings where it's 1-1 versus 1-1, but in general, again, the tech is just really far ahead for Clem.
Yeah, absolutely. I did like that initial, attempt to go for that drop there, and actually hold that thought. There's a liberator harassment here in the natural and the main base, and looks like it will get actually a lot of workers. That actually ties up the worker count a little bit here, as much closer than a couple of seconds ago. So nicely done, Byun making plays.
Briefly, at the very least, but we got to remember, I mean, Clem has been mining from this third base pretty much for the last 5 minutes. And actually, Clem's got a little bit of pressure on the other side of the map as well. The weird pressure, the pressure from earlier, the 3 Reapers, the Hellion, the Cyclone, they still exist on the map, and Byun is going to have to rotate over to defend that one. And he just says, I don't have enough. I guess he lost his drop on the other side. He loses everything, folks, or enough to matter. We're going to go to game 3. So it doesn't look like we're going to see the same type of shenanigans from Clem in game number 3. No quick SCV across the map. Nothing like that. But Byun actually has gone for a bit of a Reaper expand, I guess. No, never mind. I looked at the production tab and I was, well, actually, no, yeah, there's going to be a bit of a Reaper expand coming out from Byun here. So on what is one of the bigger maps in the pool, Byun is trying to cut a couple corners here, not get that second gas, get a quicker command center. And the question we're going to have to see, really, and this is going to be something that we're looking closer to the 3 to 4 minute mark when the Reapers and the Hellions of Clem arrive. Does Byun get away with this?
I don't know. I mean, Clem did actually scout, or sent SCV to scout pretty early on, so he's going to have a full vision of this. And, he did go for 2 gas off the bat, so he can put on some pressure if he wants to. And it's going to be up to Byun to defend it, as probably wants to maybe build a bunker just to be a bit safe, but we shall see.
And of course, the whole, there used to be this cycle of suck, Snoopy, where, we like the alliteration there, cycle of stuck Snoopy. Of course, not attributing to you, but anyways, when you had, of course, Reaper expands were better than double gas openers, were better than proxy Reaper, were better than Reaper expand. And then we had this middle of the road build, Barracks double gas factor, that there's a reason it's dominated it. It can punish Reaper expands, but it also doesn't die to the proxy setup. So in general, it works just kind of a little bit better. We're going to have to see, though, whether Clem is able to do that, as he actually, where he actually takes a page out of Kier's book. He gets that reacting quickly, so he's building 2 Reapers at a time, which will, of course, allow him to go into that 5 Reaper, 3 Hellion pressure, which we're going to have to see if he has, whether he has that one in store for us. But we're starting to see shades of game 2 in what really is much more of a macro game.
Yeah, looks like we're going to have pretty much a macro game. Clem will be able to put on some pressure, as he does have 4 Hellions, or sorry, not 4 Hellions, 4 Reapers, 2 Hellions. And on the other side, Byun just got his 2 Hellions out. It's going to be close, but I think it's going to come down to the micro in the end.
Yeah, so we're really going to have to see whether Byun is ready. So now notice his positioning on the ramp. He doesn't really want to allow his opponent to get anything super sneaky, and SCVs are going to get pulled away, but they are also lined up. So 1 worker will fall to start, but now we're looking at 4 Hellions. That seems like it's going to be enough here to move down. Byun onto the low ground. He goes. KD charges doing what they can. Some Hellions are falling, but it doesn't even matter whether Byun trades evenly or not. Again, his economy is decently far ahead, and even more importantly, he just has to knock down enough of the army of Clem that any sort of follow-up aggression is not going to be incredibly relevant. So 1 Reaper on the high ground looking for the scout. There's going to say, oh, there's a Viking. That's nice. But even more importantly, it will fall here as Byun gets ahead of the KDE charge. 1 more shot. There we go. The Reaper is dead as it jumps. And into the natural, once again, Clem will go with that 1-shot potential on the SCVs. Byun positioned well. KDE charge, though, breaking the army up here just a little bit. 2 Hellions continue to fall. And the army of Clem, while battered, while bruised, is still alive. So we're going to have to see. Maybe Byun's going to be forced to land the Viking. There he is. And the Viking certainly does not fall to this, of course. Hellions do bonus damage to light, and they are light units, so it gets a little bit tricky there. And Clem actually has been taking these fights rather well. He's lost 6 Reapers, but he's killed 5 Hellions It's decent. Not as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I would say is a bit more even. Kind of even it out. Well, I guess Byun does lose more in minerals, while Clem does lose more in gas. But remember, Byun did take that CC, the low ground CC, a bit quicker than Clem. So as long as he was able to trade fairly evenly, it would have been Byun. I think he would have said, "Oh, it's all right. I'm fine with it. I have a better economy. I can afford to trade out and lose a bit of an inefficient fight." But looks like Byun gonna attempt to try to even it up more so with this auto turret harassment into the main. Only gets
Snoopy.
two.
Yeah, he only gets 2, but realistically, Snoopy, this is not him evening the game up. This is him getting further ahead. He's now up 6 workers. The Ravens are going to look to run in, well, once again, pretty quickly. His third base is right around the same time that Clem's is. Of course, we're not going to see some sort of crazy 2-base push. That just doesn't really happen in TVT. And it really doesn't happen on day to see either. So the Raven back in once again, just looking for a little. I mean, even if it gets 1 worker, that's nice. Byun's ahead, and it looks like the auto turret will. Despite everything there, Clem getting a little bit too, I don't know, brave with that. He says, "I don't need to pull my SCVs away," and he does get punished for it just a little bit.
Yeah. So overall, Byun sitting pretty good. Got his third CC up. Does Clem also? Okay, yeah, he does have his third CC. So pretty much both players' third CC are lining up pretty much the same timing. But look at here, Clem actually feeling ready to move on now. And actually, if he can get a good position here, he can kind of deny the dirt of Byun, right?
I feel like Byun might just be positioned a little bit. He says, "I don't want to really take this position either," or "I take this position anyways."
Yeah,
you can say I feel like Byun maybe set up a little bit too well, but we're gonna have. I mean, he says, "I don't even want to bother with it," so he goes to the bottom right side. Hellions trying to dive in, but yeah, that's we see why Hellions are early game units. They're Snoopy.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit pretentious, trying to slide it on by with those Hellions, but I understand. I mean, you hope your opponent just doesn't quite see, and then you could just like slide on by with the 3 Hellions, get a bunch of SCV kills, but looks like Byun's army was in the right position.
Yeah, the big deal from those Hellions, though, Snoopy, is they get a good scout. They say, okay, this is where Byun is trying to take his third base, so this is where Clem is going to look to try to punish once again. And with first mover's advantage, again, Clem's going to force a reposition. The command center takes a little bit of damage, but this run by from Byun, this is kind of how he won game number 1 with, well, actually that one was with Windless Drops, but even still, Marines into the third base, a couple more workers will fall. And again, remember, this is a game where Byun has had an economic advantage pretty much for the majority of it. I mean, right now, Clem's been mining a little more because he's been actually able to take his third base, but this run by, it forces Clem's army home. And we talked about the upgrade advantage in that previous game, didn't end up really mattering. It looks like it will in this one. Byun his 1-1 insanely far ahead of Clem's, and he should get that 2-2 started as well. So Marines, they will not matter in Clem's army composition, not really.
Yeah, he's gonna have to rely on his C-Shank positioning because, man, battle units with 1-1 compared to your opponent, it's really. I mean, the DPS is just so high that that upgrade lead really matters a lot. But here we go. Byun gonna drop into the main, and actually nothing here to defend as Clem has to pull back the majority of his army.
So the tank will get disabled here as Ravens drop auto turrets as well. So this will get cleaned up. But Byun, he actually targets down +1 armor. And yeah, sure, +1 attack's going to get done. But this is going to build Byun realistically a 3 upgrade lead in the coming minutes. The Marines, we talked about how they were going to be really useless in Marine-on-Marine fights. They're going to be paper and not do enough damage. They're going to be even more paper. Effectively, an armor shredder missile will be applied to them at any given time. And Byun, he understands that he's not ending the game with this. The 4th base on the way halfway done, but Clem has been just a little bit faster at every turn at actually getting bases done. So his 4th base is a lot faster. He's going to look to try to take that one. Byun, of course, getting a little bit ahead by, or trying to catch up by putting his base on position. But the crazy thing is, despite Byun feeling like he's been leading this entire time as another drop shows up, Clem finds himself in a bit of a supply lead as, oh, it's going to be another eBay getting targeted down here. This is such a problem for Clem. I feel like you talk about whether Clem goes mech or not. I feel like he almost has to just commit to mech at this point because there's no way, again, there's no way his bio is ever going to be all that useful.
Yeah, this upgrade lead is going to extend so much further for Byun in the coming minutes. And we'll see how Clem deals with it. But again,
yeah.
the economy, like you mentioned, for Clem, pretty healthy. So, I mean, the thing is, you know, in the TBT, you know, you could be ahead a little bit in the economy, but really it comes down to just the army engagement, right? I mean, the kind of the chaotic moments during that fight, the DPS within those Marines, you know, the momentum swings heavily during those big engagements. So if Clem can get a really good one, a really good engagement, then I can see him turning the momentum back into his favor, despite being down so little, despite being so behind on the upgrades.
Yeah, great fight from here from Byun on the right side. Armor Shredder on top of the tanks, then runs Marines down on the low ground. So a lot of the tanks of Clem have been taken down, and that has been one of Clem's only benefits, really. Only one of his only leads in this game, where he actually has been up in tanks for the majority of this game. He's been up a couple, and Byun now able to reset that one as a drop into the main base. Once again, this should be a dead tank. There we go, +2 Marines. They do pack a significant wallop, and SCVs are going to get pulled, but they don't have armor. They're getting shredded here. We talk about how powerful Marines are, or how not powerful the Marines of Clem are, but this drop is just really putting the truth to that story that we've been told, and Ravens have fallen as well. So Byun, doing the Byun thing. He's kind of forgotten +3 attack for just a moment, doesn't really have the money for it, but he does have armor on the way, and now it seems like he feels comfortable enough to get a little bit more aggressive on the map. Yeah, Clem, though, he's got army bottom side, a little bit of a run by on the north side. Look, that's a lot of Marines to hold the Zelnaga there, Snoopy. There we go. Okay, so it's going to show up, and really he wants to hold the Zelnaga before he runs the Marines by, because, of course, then it's going to be harder for Byun to find out. But the sensor towers, they have a lot to say about that one, as here Byun goes into the 4th base position. Tanks getting sieged up on either side, and actually Clem has first siege, but Byun has the +1 attack, so he's going to be able to take a decent trade here. That being said, Marines on the planetary doing what they can, but it's planetary, it doesn't die all that. It does not die all that easily at all, Snoopy.
Oh. You might want to start repairing that. Okay, there we go. I see we got a little bit distracted. But in the meantime, there is actually another hit squad here down below, which again just seems to be the Byun way, just attacking multiple areas with just like a random hit squad of Marines, and actually getting a decent amount of SCVs.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere Byun shows up at this point, he kills a lot. He causes significant consternation for the Frenchmen. And yeah, sure, the 3rd base will not fall, but 12 SCVs. It does put Byun in a significant lead. The bigger thing also is he saw that there is an extra command center that Clem was trying to sneak on the bottom side. He doesn't get it, but he does know that Clem is at least prepared to take that 5th base. So we should see a 5th command center coming down from Byun right now. There we go. And there we go. Okay, 3-3 is on the way. Clem actually, in part because Byun has been a little slow on his upgrades and taking advantage of that 3-3. Clem has been able to recoup some of the timing disadvantage that he does have, as his +3 armor is just about done. And I do like this from Clem. He says, you know, the mid game, I'm never winning here. I just got to go straight to the late game. Corvid reactors are on the way. So that will allow his Ravens that he continues to make to be a little bit more powerful. There we go. Good disables on the tanks right now. Byun cannot move in here. He loses a lot to this fight. But of course, the main base, he still finds value. Just a little bit, though. These tanks look like they will not be dealt with for the most part. We do see medevacs fall as well. And as Clem takes his 5th that it's feeling harder and harder for Byun to punish, it is starting to feel like Clem's kind of clawing his way back into this game.
Yeah, he's actually done a great job these last couple of fights, just holding on despite all the pressure he's been receiving from Byun. He's been able to hold and been able to defend. I would love to really, you know, he's been dropped onto this right side like a billion times. I would love to see Clem just go down a sensor tower there, because, you know, it seems just to be a pattern for Byun to just drop, you know, through that pathway. You know, throw some, either a couple of turrets or a sensor tower to at least see that there is a drop coming there. I think that would really help out with these very annoying drops by Byun.
That it would. 51 SCVs have hit the deck over the course of this game for Clem, and still his economy is good. And even more importantly, he's lost well, like 600. He's lost a little bit less than Byun in this game, where his economy has been really far down. And here we go, Clem. Now he says, "I got a lot of Ravens. All your tanks, they are belong to me." So he moves forward. Byun losing about 30 supply rather quickly. And Byun, we talked about how Clem was getting into the late game faster. Byun is not ready for this. He's got +2 attack for his tanks on the way, and yeah, he is 3-3. But, I mean, let's be real. Clem already has +2 for the tanks. He one-shots Marines. And with the Ravens here, with armor, shredder, missiles, with everything else, it is hard indeed. Byun Sims 4, though, knocks one tank down. And look at that damage, though.
Wow.
But okay, he's going to run forward once again, saying the tanks, they are unsieged. Byun looking for his opportunity here. So many tanks are falling, but then they siege up, and that's a problem. But a run by on the other side. 4 workers have died into the main base. Clem has to move his orbital. Byun going to lose the base on the bottom side. This is getting really crazy here, Snoopy. Clem loses his third. Byun loses a more important mining base, and more importantly, he loses the sky. So Clem, all of a sudden, he finds himself at 50-60 supply. And in this game where Clem has not been in a great position for most of the mid game, well, it seems like he's found it in the late.
Yeah, definitely. And now not only is he up, but he's also up in the tank. Oh, actually, yeah, in the tank count. Still 11-9, a bit closer than before, but still he does have the upgrade. The advantage on the tanks, and looks like Clem is looking to maybe take this base. He does have a couple of Ravens, but not quite enough energy to freeze up those tanks with the interference matrix.
Yeah, not quite enough energy just yet. But I mean, Snoopy, there are 2 Ravens on the way at a time. This setup here from Clem is, I mean, again, Clem has just reached the late game before Byun has, and I'm not sure Byun is going to be able to afford the late game at this point. But this is going to be a dead base. STVs are going to get pulled to repair, and Byun just has too much DPS for that one. So a dead planetary, at least trading 1 for 1. Although Byun did lose that base on the north side, and of course, any tanks that you have that you allow to exist on the map here for Byun, they will get disabled, they will get shut down. But Byun, he's just desperately swarming. He says, you know, I can't. Oh, the Marines on the run by, they get evaporated by those 2 tanks. But I mean, look at what's happening here. Byun, he's building 15 Marines at a time. He says, well, if I can't beat you with tech, maybe I can just beat you with sheer muscle.
Yeah, you can always count on Byun to keep up his army production. I mean, that's his best. That's his kind of his greatest strength, is just to continuously make units, and that's why you see him in plenty of games where he's so low in terms of the worker count, but yet he still keeps up with his army production that he just overwhelms his opponent with just a sheer amount of army. But in this case, Clem is actually the one with the better army supply.
Yeah, certainly. Again, Byun is trying to just desperately trade. He's got a base trade on the other side of the map. This third base, it should go down this time. I mean, +3 bio is a lot, but tanks sieged up defensively on the high ground. Looks like it will be able to keep it alive right now. And again, this is a base trade. It's weird to talk about a late game TVT base trade, but actually Byun has first movers advantage into the production of Clem, which is going to be nice for him, of course. And there's actually not a lot here on the ground for Clem right now. Byun is up 3 tanks, and he's up a lot of bio. It really is all about these Ravens as Byun stims forward. Nothing to knock down the tanks in the in the main base of Clem. Not really. So Clem's going to have to pay a pretty penny for it. But another starport will fall. Byun on the other side looks like he got a Raven before being forced back. So where do we stand right now? Byun on 5 bases. Clem only on 4, but he does, I believe, have that extra orbital somewhere. Yeah, it's floating to the rich gas base. But there's that one tank from Byun. He's got the 1 Marine. He says, yeah, I'm taking advantage here. But it feels like, at least, okay, so economically, Byun is in a marginally better position. He does have that extra base he can mule from. His tech's not all that great, but if there's nothing on the ground to defend, another tank will fall. Auto turrets, they're getting dropped. Byun needs to target that tank down. He will. He's going to get 1. He's going to get 2. And yes, a planetary is powerful, but Byun can just kind of stay away from it right now. So really, it is all about these Ravens. And that's that is a great position to be in, don't get me wrong. But if you don't have any additional damage on top of the Ravens, well, how much does it really matter?
Man, this is such a tricky area. Does Clem try to hold this base, or does he just sacrifice it and just go try to expand somewhere else? It looks like it doesn't even matter, as that planetary does go down. And here we go. Clem's gonna go ahead and try to come in. So many Vikings here land on top of the tanks, and this is gonna be a close fight. But I think with the concave, with the high ground, Clem actually takes the win.
It doesn't even matter though, Snoopy. Clem loses another 2 bases. He is a 3-base Terran. It does not matter at all. Byun, the relentless, the desperate swarming when he finds himself behind in game 3. Bottom enough time, bottom enough damage, and that means Byun in a banger of a 20-minute TVT. He takes game number 1, folks, and that puts him up 1-0 in the Theater of Dreams Group A.